Yes, and welcome back to a brand new, well, I say brand new, episode 2 of DUD or SPUD Quickies. As explained in the last video, with these ones, these are films I've already seen, but would be perfect for DUD or SPUD, really. So, because we only watch films we haven't seen, I just go through a number of these as quick as I can, really, just to tell you if they deserve the DUD or SPUD, in my opinion, really. Another thing to mention, go on my Rumble. YouTube's kind of been a bell end with some of the videos and getting blocked and shit. So if you go on my Rumble, all of them are available and fine. Link in description. But yeah, check my Rumble channel out and you get more DUD or SPUD episodes there as well. Anyway, so we'll get straight into it. First film we're going to be talking about today is one I was really anticipating, looking forward to. It's called Bad Biology. Came out in 2008. The main reason, believe it or not, I was really anticipating this is Ari the Rugged Man. Like I'm a fan of him. He's a rapper. He was talking about this sort of stuff. I know he's always into his like mad horror films and I've seen some videos of him talking about it. But yeah, he was like, he wrote, I think he co-wrote it. I don't know if he had anything to do with the production side, but I know he had like a lot of influence in this film anyway. It's directed by Frank Henenlotter. Sorry if I mispronounce that, but it's a guy who did like Basket Case and that. This film is like kind of more or less a similar thing to that with the effects and that. But this one basically is about a dude who so you go read it. Driven by biological excess, a man and a woman search for sexual fulfillment unaware of each other's existence. Unfortunately, they eventually meet, and the bonding of these two very unusual human beings ends up being a god-awful love story. If I remember right, this is the one where like the dude's cock kind of just fucking goes on and does his own fucking thing. It's a really fucking nuts film from what I remember on this one. You can definitely tell it's like a Frank film, but yeah, you can definitely see how Rugged Man probably had input in it because it's really fucked up. Mad film. A lot of mad shit goes on in it. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I do remember enjoying it, and I'm pretty sure if I was to rewatch it again, it would be the same. So this one for me would get a spud. It was a mad film, and done in a good way. Right, the next one we're going to talk about. This one, I've spoken to a few people. They're like, "Fuck off! It's not a real film." They still don't believe me to this day, but it is a real film called Monsturd. Yeah, you heard right. Monsturd is in a turd, a monster turd. Yeah. So this is literally just about like a piece. So I think someone takes a shit and like this shit monster just grows and it's really stupid premise. It tries to be quite stupid. It's not trying to be serious. From what I remember with this, the acting was like really bad. And usually when you can enjoy and have a laugh, it was kind of like, oh man, like because I think they're trying to be bad, but when you try, the magic's not there. Yeah, from what I remember, I really wanted to see this as a kid. Obviously, Monsturd, quite immature kid I was at the time. Finally got hold of it, and yeah, I remember even then watching being like, well, I think there was a few moments I laughed at juvenile humour, but yeah, this ain't one I've watched recently, but if I was to watch it back, I'd probably dislike it more. But I do remember at the time being like, ah man, what a letdown is something that had like a great idea to it. It was just I didn't enjoy it from my core, and if that's what I felt then, I know I'd feel more or less the same now. So this one got the dud. Monsturd. If you're into it, you might be, but I just think I remember being quite shitty. Next one is one we actually did, right? An episode of this on Dud or Spud, but then, like, we didn't realise all my recording equipment was fucked, so, like, all the way through the episode, nothing recorded, like, you know what I mean? So it was like, fuck. We did briefly talk about this on one of the early episodes of Dud or Spud, but this one is Ozone, Attack of the Redneck Mutants. Me and Nibs watched it. The trailer looked wicked, the cover looks great and all that. I appreciate the fact it was done on a very low budget. I think it was literally people got together on the weekend and done it. But it kind of shows that's a thing. There were some pretty decent effects for what it was, but I think overall, me and Nibs at the end of it were like, I don't know, I was hoping for more, I guess. Like, it just didn't hit that mark. So, unfortunately for me, this gets a dud. I have seen a few people, though, say they did enjoy it. So, by all means, if you did, fine. But, again, I've seen so many zombie films. Like, I'm a bit harsher on rating them now because I've just seen too many of them. Next one we're going to go on to. Based on a computer game. This was quite mad. So, this film's called Postal. One of the best computer games ever in the world, Postal 2, without a shadow of a doubt, even to this day, one of the fucking best games you can ever play without a shadow of a doubt. So this game, Postal, is like based on Postal 2, really. This came out shortly after it. I didn't know about this film for ages until after I watched it, and I was like, I played the Postal games, and I was like, oh man. So really, if you play Postal, you'll enjoy it more. If you've never seen Postal, you're going to be very like, what the fuck, it's random. But there's loads of references they make to the game, like, so they really do. As weird and crazy it is, it's very organic to the game in a way. Yeah, I've seen like a lot of people just dislike this. They think it's shit, or the humor is fucking juvenile and all that, which it is. It's supposed to be. It's Postal. It's based on Postal too. If you've ever played that game, but for me, yeah, I enjoyed it. I think they've done a decent adaptation for what they did. I didn't even think anyone would try and make a film adaptation. In fact, they actually tried. Cool. I quite enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. Super juvenile, super stupid. Yeah, and if you watch this and said that was a pile of wank, I wouldn't hate you for it. But my kind of humor. There are some moments you'd be like, all right, like, but overall, just fucking stupid. Doesn't try to be serious. Loved it for what it was. So, Postal gets a spud. Next one, very, very, very well-known film, this one, so I'll be super quick on this. I think second film Peter Jackson ever directed. Braindead, aka Dead Alive. Fucking, even to this day, this came out in 1992. Still one of the most goriest films you'll ever see in your life, but it's a comedy horror. So the gore factor is like really stupid, like a pile of guts ends up trying to strangle someone and just stupid shit like that. The mother gets bitten by a fucking rat monkey thing and then just ends up the whole town gets infected. New Zealand film, I believe, or it's filmed in New Zealand, I think. Absolutely amazing. I don't really need to say much more about it. You probably already heard of this if you're watching this. So, Braindead, aka Dead Alive, 100% gets a spud. If you haven't seen it, you're missing out. Fully recommended. Right, next one. There's kind of two of them on this because they made like a sequel to it. This one, first one's got Sid Haig. That is Sid Haig, and yeah, Sid Haig. Rest in peace, bro. Night of the Living Dead 3D, and then they also done a sequel, Night of the Living Dead 3D Reanimation. Now, these two films, I see Night of the Living Dead 3D came out in 2006. Oh, and Night of the Living Dead 3D Reanimation didn't come out until 2012. Okay, I thought they were closer to each other. Yeah, I rewatched these again the other day because I'd seen him years ago. Night of the Living Dead 3D with Sid Haig, yeah, be honest, it was really shit. The acting was terrible, crappy effects overall. Sid Haig was the only good thing in there, but he weren't in it enough, unfortunately. So I'll give it a dud. I won't speak too much about this one. It's not worth a watch, in my opinion. Night of the Living Dead 3D Reanimation. This, however, the sequel, it does follow up on the first one because they're also in the same funeral home. This got the infection going out and that, so they do make an effort to follow the first film. This film has Andrew Divoff and Jeffrey Combs. If you know Jeffrey Combs, like, come on, like, you know what I mean? So I was sold on that alone. I remember watching this years ago and really enjoying it. And I watched it again recently. Something was off about it. I was watching it, I was like, what the fuck? Like, why is this an 18 when there's like no gore in it now? I ended up watching a TV fucking cut version for it and it drastically changes it. Like, no gore. And it's like, what the fuck? But I still quite liked it. For Andrew Divoff, he is just carrying this whole film on his back. Usually I'd say Jeffrey Combs, I like him, but his character's right in this. But no, Andrew, absolutely my favourite character in this film. One of my favourite characters in horror film, genuine. He's another, he goes on taking on zombies, don't give a fuck, man. But really underrated and underappreciated, this film, in my opinion. Night of the Living Dead 3D Reanimation, if you watch it, make sure to watch the uncut version, because it's a completely different watch. Like, but yeah, this one gets a spot. Really underappreciated. Hardly anyone knows about it. Some shitty, terrible acting in there. Yeah, but Andrew, it's worth it for Andrew alone. Like, he kills the film. Next one we're going to go on. This is going to be quite controversial, this one. And you understand why. This came out in 1997 called The Wax Mask. Now, if you've seen a lot of them old school, like, Italian horror films, it's basically really playing homage to them, right? And I usually love them kind of films. Well, not usually, I generally do. So this one had been out for a while. I never got around to watching it till recently. The effects on the dude was alright, if I remember right, the mask killer. But I hate to admit it, I remember watching this film being like, fucking hell, this is really boring me. I just wanted to go. Even though they played up to the vibe well, like everything they kind of done right. But I don't know what it was about it. I just remember being very underwhelmed, I guess. Yeah, because I remember even when this filmed, I was paying attention, and then next thing I know, I'm just kind of like looking at my keyboard going, I might let this play in the background and make a beat, which is kind of saying it all, really. And I was trying to pay attention. I see a lot of people like it, but for me, I was underwhelmed by it. I love all the earlier stuff. Like, if you're going to watch any kind of Italian horror films, just watch, like, the earlier stuff, in my opinion. This one, they played homage, but for me, I just didn't seem to enjoy it, which is weird, because this is the kind of film to be right up my boat. But yeah, from what I recall, I only watched it again the other day. It was a dud. I found it a bit boring, I guess. I don't know, if you don't hate me for that, if you liked it, but Right, next one we're going to go for is called Evilution, which came out in 2008. There was a zombie craze going on. All these films have come out left, right, and centre. This is one there's no one. I don't think I've spoken to anyone who's even heard of it. Yeah, these people like get a lot. I think there's like a bio thing. People get locked in a building. A lot of it takes place there. Very cheaply done. Some of the acting's absolutely terrible in this film, right? However, this one, when shit kicks off and it finally gets into it, for the low budget it is, I remember it being quite enjoyable and actually fairly high, fast pace. Now, I haven't watched this for a while. If I was to rewatch it again, I might not enjoy as much as I did, but I do remember watching this a few times and then being like, man, it's a really underappreciated one. I watched the trailer again just to remind myself. It's like, yeah, I do kind of recall this. And thinking back, it's like, it's not the best film. And to be honest, it could be close to a dud, but I think there was enough effort put there and it was enjoyable enough when it kicked off just to make a spud. But by all means, it's ain't like a fantastic spud. It's a just there spud, like, you know. Underrated, but if you hated it, yeah, I could see why as well. But I think it deserves just about a spud. Next one, amazing film, this one. Absolute nuts film. Japanese film called Versus from 2000. Some dude ends up in a forest, like there's Yakuza killers there, and that's where they bury like all their like victims or whatever, and then it ends up like zombies rising, but there's like all this martial arts samurai zombie shit. It's insane. Very, very low budget now, because when I first saw it, like I remember, again, one of them films in Blockbuster, I was like, this looks sick, the cover's amazing, looks like a little bit like a Final Fantasy in a way game, like from the way you stand at the back, and the cover catches you. But yeah, I remember watching this and just even like as a young kid loving it. It was like, yeah, crazy kung fu action, a lot of silly like zombie action, zombie gore. And remember, I rewatched this a good few times over the years, and every time I've been like, yep, they knew what they were doing, getting in for. I enjoyed it, even though it was quite a low budget one. I think they've done a great job. So Versus gets a spud without a shadow of a doubt. The last one we're going to talk about, again, one not many people know about. I only watch this because I am a huge Brian Thompson fanboy. Huge, and he's in this film, and I went through a phase like, gotta watch all his shit. Like, this one though, he's so funny in it. You might have seen a scene of him when he's like in a car, and like someone's asking him, he's like, and he's just acting crazy, like, you know what I mean, like a coked up maniac and shit. So I was like, gotta watch it. He's not really in this film much. He's in the beginning. He kind of takes the people up to the little cabin lodge where all this shit's going off, and then he kind of comes a bit more towards the end there. He is by far the best part of this film, and I would recommend this film just for him, or if you just go on YouTube and watch his parts, cool, just do that, like, you know. But yeah, with this Brian Thompson film, I kind of knew we weren't going to be in it much, but I was disappointed we weren't in there enough. His moments are absolutely fantastic, so for his moments, all the spuds. Well, a little bit of a technical error, the camera cut off there, but anyway, yeah, Brian Thompson gets all the spuds for him. However, Nightwish as a film itself, I will give it dud. It was a bit too boring. I remember when I watched it, I was like, Brian Thompson comes back in the end, and Brian Thompson, that's what I'm going to say, like, you know what I mean? But Brian Thompson deserves all the spuds of film, however, overall, nah, I weren't that keen on it. But yeah, that was another episode of DUD SPUD Quickies. I hope you enjoyed. I got loads more of these to do, like, so they'll come down the line. Obviously, we do our normal episodes, but this is just something a little bit, you know, another bonus stuff to do in the meantime. Films that should be on the show, but we're never going to watch because I've seen them, some of the boys have seen them as well. But yeah, I've been Maniacal Mac, and I hope you've enjoyed. Peace out.
Maniacal Mac.